Alright, this video is for all of my absent peeps trying to get pages 1 and 2 done of their classwork packet. Why are you taking the time to do this? Well, because it's going to refresh you on how to find tone, it's going to refresh you on a 4-part topic sentence, and it's going to enable you to do them well when it comes to the final body paragraph. So, this is night close read for chapter 1. If you weren't in class last week, week 7, what we did is we read to page 12 together and talked about the exposition of the story. We took time to break down this prompt and then annotate this close read from page 12. We're going to do that together in this video, and you'll see that on page 2 of your classwork packet, there's some information here. So remind yourself that tone is the author or the speaker's attitude towards the subject matter or characters. So while we're reading this close read, we're going to need to determine who's the speaker or the author, what subject are they talking about, and how do they feel about it. That's going to give us our tone. We've done tone together a little bit before Thanksgiving break. You guys made a playlist, right, where you decided what song you would listen to before a really big basketball game. You decided what you would listen to when you were relaxing on the beach, and you described why. Then we looked at tone a second time when we read the short story called 11. Remember little Rachel? She's in, elementary school, and her teacher forces her to put that ugly, stinky red sweater on. And we decided, how does Rachel feel about the sweater? And that's the tone. So we're going to do that for the excerpt, and then what we're going to do is write a 4-part topic sentence. Refresher, what are the 4 parts of a topic sentence? You need the author, the title, the literary device, and in this specific case, we're going to work with tone the remainder of this quarter. So your literary device will always be the tone word, and then the reason. Okay, and then we're going to write topic sentences together, and that will be pages 1 and 2, and that will take care of the C in a CER paragraph. So when you're annotating one of these close reads, my biggest suggestion to you is to go slowly and start with reading the prompt. I know a lot of us are really quick and used to skipping over some of the directions, but the directions will give you a lot of information that will help you throughout this close read. So read the following excerpt from Night and annotate it focusing closely on the tone. We just went over this. Remember, tone is how the speaker feels about a subject. Then answer the following prompt in a detailed 4-part topic sentence. So that's what we'll be doing on page 2. Explain how the author describes the attitude of the Jewish people. So in order to find tone, we need to find a speaker, the subject, and the attitude. So there are 2 ways that you could do this. You could go through and annotate the close read and plug these in after, but sometimes you can get away with using the prompt information to fill these for you. So if the prompt is, explain how the author describes the attitude of the Jewish people. Well, here's the word attitude, right? The attitude of who? The Jewish people. So in this case, our speaker is not going to be Elie Wiesel, but it's going to be the Jewish people. And that came right from the prompt. The attitude is what we're going to be looking for, right? This is the tone. And now we just need to find out what the subject is. So the attitude of the Jewish people towards what? What could they be taking a stance on, right? What subject could they have an opinion on? And because we didn't read the first 12 pages in class, we're going to find the subject after we annotate. So keep in mind we're looking for the subject and the tone. So I'm going to read this through once, and then we're going to annotate it together. Little by little, life returned to normal. The barbed wire that encircled us like a wall did not fill us with real fear. In fact, we felt this was not a bad thing. We were entirely among ourselves. A small Jewish republic. A Jewish council was appointed, as well as a Jewish police force, a welfare agency, a labor committee, a health agency, and a whole government apparatus. People thought this was a good thing. We would no longer have to look at all those hostile faces, endure those hate-filled stares. No more anguish. We would live among Jews and among brothers. Of course, there were still some unpleasant moments. Every day, the Germans came looking for men to load coal into the military trains. Volunteers for this kind of work were few, but apart from that, the atmosphere was oddly peaceful and reassuring. Most people thought that we would remain in the ghetto until the end of the war, or until the arrival of the Red Army. Afterwards, everything would be as before. The ghetto was ruled by neither German nor Jew. It was ruled by delusion. So, when you start annotating this, what we're doing when we annotate is just getting closer to the text, right? We're breaking down some of the sentences. We're looking at some of the words, figuring out the meaning of this passage. Because if you remember, I told you all that Elie Wiesel cut this book hundreds and hundreds of pages. So when you're reading it, every passage has deep meaning and is really important to the story. For him to go from 500 plus pages to 100 means that what he left was very important to him. So I would start with the first sentence. Little by little, life returned to normal. The first thing that's like ding, ding, ding in my head is these ghettos are not normal living, right? And there's like air quotes around it, around the word normal, which make me think it's not really true. So the word normal is extremely broad, right? It means something different for every person. What I think is normal fashion is different for you. What I think normal food for dinner is might be different for your family. So the word normal is extremely broad. But if we had to really try to break it down and decide a few qualities of normal living, we might say like the freedom to leave your house, right? Or the freedom to own jewelry, own your lot, right? Just to own property in general. Normal, maybe having a roof over your head or having a blanket to sleep with. Maybe that's normal. Not having German officers in your house. That's normal. But to me, this is odd because the way that they're living is not normal, right? They just got put into these ghettos and life before was normal. So they're trying to reach something or they're adjusting. So I would also maybe in here, a little sliver, are they just adjusting? In class, we made a comparison about masks, right? We're in the middle of a pandemic, and in March, when you first saw your friends with masks or when you first went to the grocery store, it was super odd, right? It almost felt a little bit eerie. But now as we wear masks, it's like, oh, I have one in my cup holder and I have one in my purse and maybe one in my car and I always have extras. So have we adjusted to masks and now we think they're normal, just like maybe the Jewish people have adjusted to their ghettos? Not sure. We'll see. The barbed wire that encircled us like a wall did not fill us with any real fear. So this, to me, is the first instance of not normal, right? Barbed wire to me, barbed wire indicates keeping someone in or out, usually against their will. Kind of like prison. So in my normal, right, barbed wire around my house is not normal. But for some reason, the Jewish people are starting to feel like it's not that bad. So they're encircled by barbed wire and it didn't fill us with any real fear. In fact, we felt this was not a bad thing. We were entirely among ourselves. So not a bad thing. I would just note this. We were entirely among ourselves, a small Jewish republic, and here they start laying out all of the jobs that the Jewish people have appointed and created inside of the ghetto. So they've created a whole government apparatus. And in my view, maybe they're attempting normalcy right here. Normalcy. All of these jobs could have very well been jobs before they've gone into the ghettos, and now they're inside and they're keeping themselves busy by attempting to create normalcy and adjust to their new life. So maybe another adjustment. People thought this was a good thing. I would note this again, just like we did bad. Not a bad thing. I should have highlighted that whole thing. We would no longer have to look at all those hostile faces, endure those hate-filled stares, no more anguish. We would live among Jews and among brothers. So here they are saying that the camp is a good thing, and then they lay out all of these very negative traits or negative parts of the ghetto. So they're like, yeah, the ghettos are actually a good thing. We really like them. You know why we like them? Because we don't have to look at those people that absolutely despise us for no reason. We would live among Jews, among brothers. Of course, there were still some unpleasant moments. Like only a few? That seems odd, right? They've gotten all of their stuff taken away. They can't see some of their family members. They don't really know what's going on. But for some reason, they still feel like it's not that bad. Every day, the Germans came looking for men to load coal into the military trains. Volunteers for this kind of work were few, but apart from that, the atmosphere was oddly peaceful and reassuring. So this is ironic to me. Nothing they have described is peaceful or reassuring. Right? They have German officers living in their homes. They got everything taken away from them. There's hate-filled stares. There's anguish. There's barbed wire. And for some reason, these Jewish people are still feeling okay. Many people thought we would remain in the ghetto until the end of the war or until the arrival of the Red Army. Afterwards, everything would be as before. Throughout, until page 12, there was this big word of optimists, right? Or optimistic, like cup is always half full. Right? They're very positive. The ghetto was ruled by neither German nor Jew. It was ruled by delusion. So in class, we noted that the Germans are the actual rulers of the camp. Right? This is quite literal. The Germans came in, they put this camp together. But the Jews are being delusional. Delusional by not seeing the threat. All right, so we've annotated this whole excerpt, right? And now we need to find the subject. The subject for this would just be the ghettos or the new situation that they've been put in, right? This is all about how they're adjusting to ghettos. How do the Jewish people feel about it? Well, that's how we're going to find out the tone. So if you scroll down to page 2, it starts by giving you this 3-part box to find the tone. I took these from page 1, so we know that the speaker or the author in this case is the Jewish people. And how do they feel about the ghettos? So that's how we need to decide the tone. What you would do is click on this 155 tone word list and start brainstorming some possible tones. Like I said in class a few weeks ago, there's never one right answer. They're just similar. So go ahead and take some time, pause the video, and look through the 155 tone word list and try to get 2 or 3. You went through your list and created kind of a brainstorm. Here were a couple that I got from the list. You'll see all of them on there. You can look up the definitions. Your choice is to choose one. I'm going to go with naive, and that would be my tone here. So I'm saying that they have a naive tone. A lot of times children are naive because they just don't have the full picture. And I would argue to you that if the Jewish people had the full picture of what was happening in the ghettos and what was to come, they would not be feeling peaceful and reassured. So now we have our tone, right? I chose naive. You can choose whatever you'd like. And our next mission is to do the 4 parts of a topic sentence. We already have 3 of them laid out super easy for us. So go ahead and fill in the author, the title, and the tone word that you just chose. I've been able to fill in 3 of the boxes really easily, right? Our author and our title are going to be the same for the next 3 weeks because we're reading a novel. The tone word is what we just found up at the top, and you've just carried it down. It's right here, now it's here. So you'll see at the very bottom of your page 2, there's a topic sentence frame. What I've done is plugged in 3 parts, and all that's left now for me to do is the reason. Last part we need to do in order to make our topic sentence is to figure out the reason, or this in order to statement. So your job is to think, why on earth would Elie Wiesel write this passage in an optimistic, naive, hopeful tone, right? Well, maybe it's to show the lack of knowledge that the Jewish people have on the ghettos or the war. Right? Because like I said earlier, if they had any idea what was happening outside, they would not be feeling reassured. So it has to do with the lack of knowledge, right? You might also write something on the adjustment or anything else that you deem as the reason. So what I would do is I would put it right here, and I would have a 4-part topic sentence with a tone.